Welcome to today's adventure where we go backcountry skiing or splitboarding. I'm Jason Lefevre,
And I'm Caden Wilson.
and we're going to be your guides throughout all of this.
Today we're going to show you how to set up your skis and your snowboard for hiking up, how to transition out of it so you can go down. We're going to talk about the safety equipment, which is the avalanche, the beacon, the probe, and the shovel. And we're going to talk about how to dig a pit. Before we do any of that, though, the very first thing you want to do whenever you're backcountry skiing or snowboarding is make sure your beacon is turned on.
To turn on the beacon, I simply hold my finger on this lock button and throw it into send mode.
And you want to make sure that all participants in the party have their beacon turned on.
Your beacon should be at least at 80% battery or more. If it's not, that you risk the cause of the beacon dying sooner than it should.
So replace your batteries often and double check them before you go out. So before you go out, again, make sure your beacons are turned on. We're going to do what's called the beacon check, making sure the beacons are working properly. So I will turn mine into send mode, or search mode, sorry. And I'm going to make sure that Jason's beacon is working. Okay, so I can see that was working, so I'm going to put mine into transmit mode.
And now I'm going to throw mine into send mode, and I'm going to hit this button.
Search mode.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it into search mode. And now I'm going to make sure his is working. And I hear a loud beeping noise, and I can see the numbers at 0.1 meters away. I know it's working. So I'm going to throw mine back in send mode, and we're going to go about our adventure.
We're going to put these in our pockets, zip them up, strap them up, whatever you need to do.
Just like that. Okay, follow me.
First, we're going to do our gear checklist to make sure we have everything we need to for today's adventure.
Yes, and the very first thing that you should do before you even leave your house is there's this website called backcountrychecklist.com. We're going to go over that real quick and show you how it works. Let's just make sure that you have everything that you need before we get out into the backcountry.
Today I'm splitboarding, but the backcountry skiing list is also pretty much the same. I'm going to make sure I got my beacon, my probe, my shovel, I've got my first aid kit. I do have skins. I've got my boots, my board, my bindings, and I also have my poles. I have a radio so I can talk to my partner. And then I have a headlamp just in case I'm not out of here by the time I want to be. Make sure I have my helmet, my Avi pack. Then I have some extra layers, gloves, and it's very important to always have calories and water to keep you hydrated and nourished so you always have some energy. Next, I do have tools. I have my protective eyewear. I have my maps. I know where I'm going. And I also have my ski clothes so I can stay warm and insulated from the snow and it won't affect my performance. I'll make sure I have some extra parts and some ski straps.
Okay, next we're going to go through my bag and just go through all the gear that you should have when you're backcountry skiing. First, you'll see that I have my helmet right here. You should always have your helmet with you, ready, accessible. And then in the back, when I'm hiking up, I like to keep my buff to keep me warm on the face, and then some gloves. I like having those just in the back of my helmet for the hike up. That way, when I get to the top, I can put them on first thing and stay warm. All right, so going into the bag here, we've got the skins, which we'll go to in a little bit later. Some ski straps. Very important, very resourceful, can be used for many different situations. A first aid kit, must have.
Very important to have your first aid kit.
This is a repair kit, just different tools that you can use to repair your skis if any situation arises. Of course, water. And then I've got my shell for when I'm skiing down. This will keep the wind blocked. It will protect me from tree branches. Must have your shells. I've got my shells in my pants with me too. Have your shell with you.
We keep our shell or extra layers in our bag because when we're hiking up, we really get hot and we want to layer correctly so we don't sweat a ton. We want to be able to keep a constant temperature and not overheat, and we don't want our clothes wet when we're skiing on the way down.
Exactly. Very important to have those extra layers with you. Today's a very sunny day, so I packed more than I probably would have needed to on a day like this. But I just wanted to show you guys. So I've got some other layers in here that would be good for hiking, just in case. And I also like to carry an extra pair of gloves with me, just in case mine get soaking wet and my hands freeze. And then, of course, we got our safety equipment. So just here in the front of the bag, we got the probe, the shovel, and then my beacon is here in my pocket, ready to use.
And then I keep my beacon strapped on my chest like this.
Mm-hmm. And the last piece of equipment that I can think of at the moment is sunglasses. Very important for you to be hiking up in the sun, keep your eyes protected. Speaking of eye protection, I've got my goggles right here in the back. I almost forgot those guys. And here we are. So we got some goggles too for when we're skiing down, protect us from the sun, any branches, keep our eyes safe.
Thanks for joining us in our gear overview. And now we'll show you how to get ready on the split board and on the skis so we can go have some fun. So the first thing, before anything else, before I forget, is I'm going to make sure my beacon is turned on. And I'll see a little flashing red light. Okay? Next, I'm going to break my board apart, split it in two, and get it ready to be in hike mode. So to do that, I'm going to take off my bindings, set them aside. Okay? Unclip the top and unclip the bottom. Now that they're apart, I'm going to go ahead and set one down right there and right there. Now, I'm going to put my skins on. I'm going to take my split board skins out of the bag. I'm going to rip them apart. Boom, just like that. And I'm going to be very careful to not get them on the snow. So I'm going to put that clip down, put this on there like that. Now I can stretch it out over the base of my split board and click it onto the side. Looks like I'm going to tighten this one just a little bit. Tight one, tight two. Again, I'm making sure that's over pretty good. And then I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to run it down, try to get any air bubbles out, try to get that adhered to the bottom of the base of the split board so I can hike. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. And sometimes if you're having a difficulty, what you can do is put it like this and use those thigh muscles to help get that apart. Same thing with the other. I'm going to line it up. I'm going to make sure it's clipped on. I'm going to run my hand down, get out all those air bubbles, try to stick that to the surface. Okay, now that my skins are on, it's time to put my bindings back on. The left binding, your bindings will always unclip from the outside. So this is my left binding. I'm going to stick it on my left ski. After that goes in, I'll click it in right there. And then I'll do the same with the other. Just like that. Now it's time for me to adjust my poles. Find the right place for it. Now my pole's at a good length. I can do the other one. Okay, and now I make sure that my bag's all ready. I'll put my skin bag in there, and I'll take off my layers because I want to start hiking a little bit cold. And this allows me to be able to warm up as I'm hiking, because once I get all that movement going, I'll be pretty toasty. So I'll stick my jacket in there, zip up my bag, and put it on. Now I'm ready to get into the split board. To do so, open it like that, prop this heel piece up, stick my boot as far back as the heel will let me go. Then I'll do strap 1, just over the toe. Then I'm going to do strap 2 as well. Okay, now that I'm in, it's time for the other one. Okay, now that I'm all set, I'm going to grab my poles, and it's go time.
Okay, now I just made it to the top, and I'm ready to transition so I can snowboard down. So the first thing I'm gonna do is unclip my boots and undo my other ones. Now I'm gonna take off my bindings. I'm gonna remove this front clip right there. Slide that pin out, my binding comes off. I'm gonna set that right there. Now I'm gonna do the other one. Slide that pin on out, set it down. Okay, now it's time to take off the skins. Do that, take this strap, pull on it, and I just rip that off. Just like that. And now I'm gonna fold it so glue sticks to glue. We don't want the glue sticking to the carpet. Do that a little bit better. We always want to take care of our gear so it takes care of us. Okay? I'm going to set these right here really quick. I'm going to do the other one. Okay? Now this one is off. I'm going to be very careful not to get any snow on it so that glue stays adhesive. And what a lot of people do is they take their skins and we'll actually put it on the inside of our jacket to kind of keep the glue on in case we need to go transition again. The body heat will help keep that glue on. When the glue gets cold, it's not as sticky, and then it can fall off of your skis easy as you snowboard or go ski back down. Okay? Now, I'm going to put this board back together. I'm going to find those two clips right there. I'm going to slide that in. Now I'm going to do this top piece right here. And now, I'm going to do the bottom as well. After the board is situated back together, we're going to go ahead and do our bindings. This is my right binding, and this is my left binding. So, I'm going to stick it on over this. Really push that on there. And then, I'm going to put that pin back in there. Now, for the right-handed binding, that. Insert the pin. Okay, now I'm ready to split board back down, but before I do so, I'm gonna dig a snow pit and do a column test to test the durability of the snow to see if there's any signs of avalanche or any risky behavior that the snow is happening. And after I do that, I'm gonna strap back down. Click in those bindings. Now it's time for the other one. Oh, one more thing. I'm gonna take my poles. Since I'm not a skier today, these poles are gonna go on the side of my backpack. So one pole adjusted. Two pull back to normal. I'm gonna take off my bag and attach them to the side. And I'm gonna make sure to put on my helmet too. Okay. I'm gonna take my helmet off. I'm gonna use these side straps for the poles. Strap that in on tight. Now it's time for me to put my helmet on. I'm gonna take off my hat, put on my helmet, make sure I'm nice and safe. Then I'm gonna put my hat and my other stuff, bag that I do not need. Okay, now it's time to close this bag on up. Put it back on and board down. Now, these backpacks also are very useful as they do have a whistle right here, and I can use that in case of emergency, just like that. Now, for the gloves, I'm going to stick them on. I'm going to try to get in my other side first, actually. Okay, now that I'm strapped in, got my gloves done, I've done all my safety stuff, it's ready to board on now. We're going to be showing you how to get into the backcountry skis, and Caden's going to show us how it's done.
All right, so these skis, these are my personal ones, a little bit different than the ones that we have at the ORC for rental. Same process. If you want to learn the specifics about these ones, just go watch the video that we posted earlier. Okay, so first things first, I'll get my skins out of my bag and tear them apart. Okay. And on these skins, I got two prongs at the top. That'll go right at the top of that ski. And then you just pull it tight, wipe off any snow that is on your ski. Stick it, run your hand down, making sure it's nice and flush. Green it up. Run. And then snap it on the top like that. Then do any final run throughs with your hand. and you're good to go with this ski. So we'll set it down. Now getting into this ski, just put the 2 holes on those pins like that. And again, you want to make sure this is pulled up nice and tight, because if it's not, you can just twist out like that. So again, get those pins in, pull up nice and tight, and now I've got full control of my ski as I'm hiking. And I've also got these risers here from going on any inclines, makes it easier on my body. Awesome. I'm ready to go. My backpack. And make sure your beacon is on. I've got mine right here in the pocket. I've got my radio as well in case I need to communicate with Jason about any dangers that I see, or just make sure that we know where we both are. I'm ready to get going.
Okay, now for a simple demonstration on these other bindings that we have. These are our frish stick bindings. Now to get in them, I'm going to make sure this is all the way down. I'm going to place my boot, the top of the boot, right at this green part right here, right up against it. And then it's just going to snap. And then I got to make sure I put it in walk mode. So I throw that lever all the way up. And you'll see the back of this boot. Right now it's in ski mode. I got to get it into walk mode. So I'll give it some nice pressure. And this is not walk mode. That's walk mode. Straight up 90 degrees. I'll lock my brake. Then I've got my hill risers right here in case I'm going up some steep terrain. And that's how these black diamond bindings work. And the skins, you can see, go on like that. And the bottom's like that. Now, to get our boot into walk mode, we simply pull this lever all the way up, and that'll give us some flex as we start hiking. And then when we get ready to ski, we'll simply throw that lever back down and lock it into place.
All right, guys, now that I'm up here at the top, I'm ready to transition so I can go ahead and ski down the mountain. So first things first is either taking the skis off, or if you want to take the skins off while keeping the skis on, that is possible. I will try and show both if I can. First by showing you taking the skins off while taking the ski off. So I take my pole and you push that front binding down. That way your boot just pops right out. So you take the ski off. Take your backpack off first too, that way you have somewhere to actually put your skin when you take it off. So your backpack all ready, opened up. All right, so go ahead and get to the bottom first and just pull this cord up like that. And then we can just go ahead and rip this right off. And again, trying to avoid getting any snow on here, so we keep it nice and sticky. And try and line it up as best as you can. Just like that. Some people like to keep it in their coat pocket, so say that's warm. I prefer to put mine in the bag. It's a preference there. The advantage of putting it in the coat pocket is that it keeps the adhesive nice and sticky in case you're doing multiple laps. If you put it in the bag, it's just out of the way, and that is handy as well. Okay, so now if you want to take it off while keeping your ski on, which is I find very helpful, you'll come down and you'll twist your binding into ski mode. So you can go ahead and lock yourself in. So now I can't walk anymore. Then you'll cross your leg over, grab that back part of the skin, and then you'll just try and tear it off. There we go. Sometimes you can get it first try, sometimes it takes a few tries. And the same thing, the bindings together, or skins together, and then I put mine in the bag. Okay. Now that those are in the bag, I'm gonna get the rest of my gear on and ready. I'm gonna take my hat off and my glasses, put those in the bag, and get my helmet. I got my gloves here. Set those to the side. And oftentimes, most of the time, I'll ski with my shell on. But because it's such a warm day today, I'm just gonna ski with my puffy on. And then got my goggles. So get those on. Okay. We'll zip everything up. Backpack on. And because we did one ski, or one taking the skins off, while the ski is off, I'm going to put that ski back on. So we'll go ahead and do that now. It's helpful to use the poles as support. Kick any snow off your boots. Alright, we're in. And then make sure the back binding is twisted so you can be in ski mode. And slam that in just like that. Okay. And now the left one is in walk mode. Or the right one's in walk mode, left one's in ski mode. So we want to make sure that this right one is down. That way it'll pop off in case I crash. So push that down. Okay. And make sure your boots are in ski mode. So I twist that up right there. And I do any other tightening that I need to. I like to hike up with my boots nice and loose. Just go like that. And I'll make sure the other boot is also in ski mode. That way it's nice and tight. Okay. Everything feels good here. Gloves on. Let's make sure I do my top strap here. Okay, everything's ready for me to go do some laps and have some fun skiing on the mountain. We are by not any means experts at this, so please go take an avalanche course. There's some online ones or some in-person ones depending on your location, but please go do that. Make sure you're being safe in the backcountry.
This is simply just a demonstration of how the gear rentals at the Outdoor Resource Center work.
Awesome. Okay, so you should be having an avalanche bag. If you're going backcountry skiing, it's a must-have. Go ahead and open up your avalanche pocket and pull out your probe and your shovel. And these are two of the three avalanche equipment. The third one's either in your pocket or strapped to your chest, and that is your beacon. The first thing you're going to do if an avalanche occurs is you're going to talk with your group, figure out a leader, and they're going to kind of lead the whole rescue. And you're all going to switch your beacons to search mode and go find the person that is lost. And you'll begin by using your beacon to locate the closest, smallest number. And we'll demonstrate that a little bit later.
And the first step, after we locate them with the beacon, we're going to take out our probe and we're going to probe the snow and hope we are able to touch them. So, to use our probe.
To deploy it, you have a handle here. You got the top of it, and you've got the bottom. You're going to grab the handle and the pole, and you're going to toss it, and you're going to pull out just like that. And it should, kind of like a camping tent pole, is how it goes together. Just like that. And when you're probing, you're going to go to the nearest spot, again with that beacon, and you're going to start by probing straight down, hoping that you hit something. If you don't hit anything, you'll begin just probing in a spiral pattern out at about 6 inches. So just go in a circle, just like that. Once you do hit something, make sure that you do not remove your pole, your probe. If you hit something, you want to make sure that you remember always where that's at. So for this demonstration, we'll pretend that this right here is where we probed our missing person.
Whenever you probe somebody, we call that a strike. And so now we're going to take our shovel, we're going to put it together.
and we're gonna extend it, and we're gonna pretend that that's uphill and that's downhill. And we're gonna make sure that we move the snow downhill so we're not working hard. And we wanna make sure that we're not digging straight on top of the probe strike, but we dig into it, just like this.
We want to make sure that we are not going to be chopping our buddy up if we're digging straight down into that probe. The first thing you want to try and do is you want to try and clear his airway. So try and find his head, and not by attacking his head, right? You want to dig into him, find his mouth, and clear that out.
Now, in some practices, this is a very common form of shoveling, is you'll take your hand, put it like this, and you'll just kind of fit here, scoop it out, like that, all the way downhill.
Make sure you have your whole team helping if they can. You want everybody shoveling, everyone probing, everyone searching, okay? This is life and death situation. So make sure that you guys are all helping in some way or another, trying to find and rescue your friend.
Okay, and now we'll show you how the beacons work. First thing I'm gonna do if somebody's caught in an avalanche is I'm gonna pull out my beacon and I'm gonna put it in search mode. To do that, I'll hit this lock button and slide that to search. Okay, and as you can see, it'll tell me which direction the beacon is. And I'll start following it. I'll just follow the arrow and I'll kind of do zigzags. Now, these beacons emit signals in circles. So now it's telling me to go that way. So now I'm just gonna follow it, and I'm gonna do zigzags across the area, and I'll wait till that number gets really low. Oh, now it says to go this way. Let's start digging this way. Oh, so now I'm within 2.5 meters. So now I'm gonna get down on the snow and try to find the smallest number possible. And once I find the smallest number possible, I'm going to do a square check to make sure that is the smallest. I'll go out and this. So this is the smallest number. Now this is where I'm gonna break out my probe and start probing.